we're going live. So we're going to be quiet.
Yeah, yeah.
1 second.
Well, it does make it more nicer in the summer. The days are longer.
Yep,
So it's
we're
not.
live, and so it's time for Grandma Reads a Story. And I have before me Grandma Sonata. I'm so happy to see you today. And
Why, thank you. Happy to be here. Hi, kids.
So Grandma's going to read the first story. So take it away, Grandma Sonata.
The first story is Exquisite, and it's by Suzanne Slade and illustrated by Corby A. Cabria. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Gwendolyn grew up in the big city of Chicago with little money to spare, yet her family owned great treasures of bookcases filled with precious coins.
Whoa. My kind of house.
Each night her father read fine poetry aloud, passionate and proud. Nothing sounded sweeter to Gwendolyn than her father's deep voice reciting the rhythmic words. Gwendolyn memorized those lines, fine words in time she shared with her big hugging aunt. When she was 7, Gwendolyn began arranging words into poems of her own. One day, her mother found those scribbled lines and announced with sincere conviction, as mothers do when making a prediction, "You're going to be the Lady Paul Laurence Dunbar." Gwendolyn beamed. He was her favorite poet. Gwendolyn loved to sit on her big back porch with colorful clouds dancing overhead and dream about her future. I was at my happiest sitting out on the back porch to sit there and look out at the western sky with all those beautiful changing clouds, and just to dream about the future, which was going to be ecstatically exquisite, like those clouds. Writing became like eating and breathing to Gwendolyn. It was something she just had to do. She carefully strung words together like elegant jewels in perfect meter and time. Her rhythmic lines describe paper dolls, tick-tock clocks, raindrops, sunsets, and climbing rocks. When Gwendolyn turned 11, she decided to set her words free. and mailed 4 prized poems to a newspaper. Her words were printed on crisp pages for the whole neighborhood to see. Elated, she sent her nature poem, Eventide, to a magazine. It appeared on shiny pages for the entire country to read. Gwendolyn Gwendolyn's future seemed as bright as morning's first clouds, but then a terrible storm blew in, the Great Depression. With too few jobs, too many workers, her father's pay was cut in half. Dinner each night was the same, beans. Yuck, I don't think I would like beans every night. I'd get tired of that.
Doesn't look like a lot of them either.
No. Hungry for food, yet more hungry for words, Gwendolyn kept writing. She sent more poems to magazines, but they were all rejected. In high school, Gwendolyn felt rejected too. She was too quiet and shy for some crowds, her skin too dark for others. Every year she tried a different school, all white, all black, and a mixture of both, but she didn't seem to fit in anywhere. Gwendolyn felt invisible, but when words flowed from her pen, she felt invincible. So she spent more time than ever writing, exploring new ways to express her ideas. She even wrote a history report in rhyme. Her paper earned an A, and a note from the teacher that said to keep writing.
Wow. History and rhyme. Wow.
Yeah. Soon Gwendolyn headed off to college, where she devoured thick books of poetry, Dickinson, Wordsworth, Hughes, and penned poems about her family and friends. After graduation, jobs were still hard to come by, and poems didn't pay the bills. So Gwendolyn found work wherever she could, cleaning homes, typing, and even delivery.
Wow. Very industrious.
Yes.
Was a depression after all.
Right, yeah. Then along came Henry, a handsome man who adored poetry too.
Ooh.
The two married and squeezed into a tiny apartment in a Black neighborhood where they were supposed to live. A year later, baby Henry arrived. A busy wife and mother, Gwendolyn continued to write. She took a poetry class at night where she studied modern poems with different lengths, lines, unpredictable meter, and time. Inspired, she created unique poems about nonstop busyness, the hard luck grittiness of life in her South Side Chicago neighborhood, Bronzeville, where business boomed on 47th Street, where hardworking families didn't have enough to eat, where people jumped and jived to a new jazz beat. And Gwendolyn kept polishing her words until they sparkled like silvery summer clouds. I am proud to feature people and their concerns, their troubles, as well as their joys.
Troubles and joys.
Yeah. Eventually, one of her poems won a contest, then another and another. Some were published in a famous poetry journal, but they still couldn't pay the bills. Even without electricity, Gwendolyn kept writing by candlelight, stories about life in her busy Bronzeville streets. I wrote about what I saw and heard in the street. And she kept dreaming about a future that was going to be exquisite. Then one day, beneath a promising patch of clouds, she gathered her finest poems, stories of hardship and hope, slid into an envelope and mailed them to a book publisher in New York City.
Candlelight in the, we're in
Yeah.
the 50s, so in the 70s, she's reading by candlelight?
Right.
60, wow.
Then she waited and worried and wondered, would they like stories about people in her neighborhood? Soon a letter arrived. The publisher wanted more, twice as many as before. So Gwendolyn composed poems in different forms, free verses, ballads, sonnets. She wrote about brave soldiers like her brother, fighting for a country that didn't give everyone equal rights. She wrote about a poor man named Satin Leg Smith who fancied fine clothes. She wrote about understanding she wrote about understanding your indignity, who you are on the inside. No, she wrote about understanding your identity, who you are on the inside. Her tired fingers wrote day and night until finally she had enough to send to the publisher. Before long, another letter arrived. Gwendolyn grabbed that envelope, ran into the bathroom and locked the door. Hands trembling, she opened it. The publisher loved her poems, so they became a beautiful book, A Street in Bronzeville. But Gwendolyn had more stories to share, important stories about a young girl growing up, getting married, and starting her own family in a city where people judged others by the color of their skin. Those powerful poems became her second book, Annie Allen. Gwendolyn's words drifted into the world like bright, brilliant clouds. Her poems help people better understand others. They encourage people to take a closer look at themselves. They changed the way people, no, they changed the way some people thought and acted. But even two books couldn't pay all the bills. Money was tighter than ever. Yet everywhere she looked, Gwendolyn saw more stories that needed to be told. So she kept writing.
Wow.
Then one cloudy day in May, Gwendolyn's electricity was turned off again. Suddenly the phone rang in the dark apartment, started ringing. Was it another bill collector? She hesitated, then picked up the phone. A reporter on the other end asked one question. Do you know that you have won the Pulitzer Prize? Gwendolyn couldn't believe it. She grabbed her son and danced around the apartment. Outside, exquisite clouds exploded in the sunset sky because Gwendolyn had won the greatest prize in poetry. Boy, she is happy.
Look at that.
Oh. Clouds, written by Gwendolyn Brooks at age 15. Oh, when I look into the sky and see those quiet clouds, now all arrayed in fierce white, now dressed in colored shrouds. It seemed I cannot draw my eyes from that rich heavenly land, and drinking in the wide expanse, I filled with rapture stand.
Oh, 15.
Unseatful of my transfixed stare, they float serenely by. They those stately clouds, calm serenity of the sky. How can I fear to leave the earth when heaven holds this glow? Clouds colored happiness and peace await me. There I know. Beautiful. And then it has the author's notes. Beautiful.
Yeah, wow.
Did you like that story, boys and girls? Oh, that was good.
And as a matter of fact, we do have books at the Pontiac Public Library written by Gwendolyn. One's Bronzeville, Boys and Girls by Brooks Gwendolyn, and we also have some in adult reference. So yeah, so come and check them out at the Hunting Public Library.
Yeah, that's really good. Now our next book is Brave Ballerina, the story of Janet Collins, Michelle Meadows, written by Michelle Meadows, illustrated by Ebony Glenn.
Ooh, look at pretty.
This is the girl who danced in the breeze to the swoosh, swoosh, swoosh of towering trees. These are the costumes her dear mama made, costumes for lessons. That's how they paid. These are the pointed shoes, shiny and pink, small quick steps, plink, plink, plink.
Oh, I see the next shoes.
This is the family that lifted her high, supporting her dreams right up to the sky.
They do have her up right up in the sky. Physically.
Yeah. This is the back bend, low to the ground, which she practiced until it was perfectly round. This is the trio, 3 shades of brown, daredevil dancers, the talk of the town. This is the time way back in the day when dance schools turned Black students away. This is the teacher who stood by her side, knees bending deep and arms open wide.
Wow. Shelter.
This is the streetcar she rode in the dark to see ballerinas making their mark. This is the dancer who found her way in by learning she would have to lighten her skin. This is the girl with a broken heart, but she bounced right back and made a new start. This is the dancer who kept going strong, bare feet flying to a Spanish song. This is the music, bum, 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 back and forth to the beat of a drum. This is the class, a welcoming place that focus on talent regardless of race. This is the sweat that dripped from her skin when she practiced alone again and again. This is the dancer who went back for more when her tender toes ached and her muscles felt sore. Yeah, I bet after a while her toes did hurt.
Sure. And you still had to smile.
Yes. This is the body, expression so real, gestures and movements that made people feel. This is the man who saw her perform and knew she would take the world by storm. This is the dancer, bold like the sun, a prima ballerina in 1951. Wow.
She was a prima ballerina when the other one was born. The other one was born in 51, and she was a prima ballerina in 51.
Yes. The end.
Wow. So thank you so much for those two stories. So tell me, Grandma Sonata, after reading them again, what do you think?
I think these were strong young young girls that grew up to be beautiful women and brought a lot to the world, you know? I think they were very brave.
So the 2022, and the one was born in 1951, and the other one became a prima ballerina in 51. So she's probably, I don't know, 20 years old or something. So
Yeah.
we're talking about people born 90 years ago or 70. I mean, so about this 90 years ago or 70 years ago. I mean, it's amazing that
It is. It is.
Taken for them to be successful in those.
Right. And they never gave up. They just kept pushing forth and pushing forth and pushing forth. They didn't get discouraged and throw their hands up.
Yeah.
So they were really brave for that time, you know?
Be brave for this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it'd be easier now than it was then, but still
it's still
really hard now.
Right. I don't think yes. But I enjoyed both of the books. And I hope our children enjoyed them.
Yeah. So thank you so much for reading those stories. And if you want to read some of the poetry, we do have books here, both in the youth department and the adult section, and lots of more books. So come to the Pontiac Public Library if you have any questions. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next week for Grandma Reads a Story. Thank you.
Bye, kids. Love you, my little friends. See you soon.
Bye.
Very good.